and welcome back to another episode of Survivor 44 Hot Takes. And in an episode where, it seems like there might be a couple of easy targets on tribes, we lose someone that's not even voted out.
I don't even
So
want to
we
talk
want to
about it. I'm devastated.
Well, Emily, as your winner pick, let's go. You have the floor.
I'm gonna go on a spiel. I still feel like he was in if he didn't decide to climb that freaking rock, okay, he would have been in the most perfect situation to continue to progress. He had great relationships with the entirety of the tribe, but also I would argue across tribal lines, his relationship with Carson would have continued to pan out. He was in a really, really, really good spot. And I'm hashtag devastated about it. I think that he was, and he had an idol. He had everything, and then he also lied to Jamie about her idol. He was perfect. I'm devastated.
Yeah. I thought you were ready to start that because you were like, I still feel, and I'm like, oh my God, she's not going to still say, I still feel like he's going to win.
No,
I know, like that's.
I feel like
he was in a really good spot.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just saying, I know that this is unlikely because this was his own wrongdoing, but you could also argue that that was similar for our first circumstance, that I feel like he might be invited back for another for a second chance situation.
They're not going to do that. And this is why we can kind of touch on this because we talked about it right before we went live.
Right.
They're going to consider this a quit. Even though it's because it's not a medevac, because they didn't, they're going to count this as a quit. And it's bullshit because there have been other times in the show's history where people were hurt enough that, hey, I have to leave, I don't want to quit. I have to because, what's her face from David vs. Goliath tore ACL, but because it wasn't life-threatening, her choosing to leave is now considered a quit instead of a medevac. So in this situation, he wasn't medevaced. He chose to leave, but I agree that it's all it's all bullshit. That should have been considered a medical evacuation, even though his life wasn't in jeopardy.
Right. I don't know. I feel like I wish that we got more context. I think that there's more of a matter of because we didn't see it because they utilized that for shock value. So
B, yes, it's B. Oh. From Dave vs. Goliath, yes.
Oh yeah. So I guess I just wish we got more context because I just like Jay said too, he's like, well, Jeff doesn't really consider it a quit. This dude literally lost parts of his freaking shoulder, and try to withstand it, I don't know. I feel like there's a chance that he could come back. He's a very, very well-liked player, already proven himself to be very resourceful and tactical. I'm gonna venture to say that next time they have a returnee season that he might get an invite. I would say it's 50-50.
I disagree, and not even on the
You're wrong.
Thing. I disagree also because I'm not going to say who because they said it on their the private Twitter, whatever it is, Twitter. Whenever someone tweets out, whenever someone gets them voted out or medevaced or whatever, Twitter, if they like them or them well enough, they'll say, oh man, I hope they get a second chance. Whether they're first boot, third boot, or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, and that's been the case for pretty much everyone this season. It's like, oh man, I can't wait for them to come back. And this person said, I feel like y'all say this for everyone, even if they did nothing. There's oh, I feel like that next time it'll be good. And so yeah, that was fine.
But I think it's more of it's a matter of potential. I feel, I feel if the last, aside from Bruce, obviously, the last pretty crazy medevac we had was David versus Goliath, right? With, what was his name? The second Olymp.
No, I know who you're talking about, but I'm trying to think if there's been.
There hasn't been anything since that. Because there wasn't anything for Island of the Idols, nothing for Winners at War, and we haven't had any medevacs from 41 to 43.
But it's Pat from Dave vs. Goliath. Is who you're
Pat, yeah.
Who lives about 10 minutes away from you.
Oh, really? That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, but I guess that may be a hard thing to measure because he also hasn't been invited back. But like, I feel like if he had the opportunity, that would have already happened.
That's fair.
Because he kind of had a similar situation with Bruce, where like he barely had a chance to play.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess Jackson would also, I guess, count as a medevac ish.
Yeah.
It's a little bit
You already forgot Jackson.
I didn't forget about him. I love him, but like, I it's arguable about, just like how he was eliminated.
I will say, like, even before the last 5 minutes where we learn about him being taken from the game or leaving the game or whatever you want to call it, I think leading into it, everyone, the way they were framing it, I guess we're kind of working backwards.
Yeah.
It seemed like our girl Carolyn probably would have been fine.
She would have been fine. She even had the idol, like if she was, and has a very good sense about these things. I wasn't worried about her. I was worried about my other power player, Jam. That was
Oh yeah, Jam was going to be fine too. They're like those two, no matter how chaotic or like how annoyed they were with each other off of the last episode, they were going like I fully expected them to be voting together if they had to vote in this episode. Now, obviously, we don't have to worry about that right now, and I do feel like the deck's going to be reshuffled going into next week. But did you think there was any chance either one of them are going?
I thought that maybe Jam had like a 20% chance of going home. I knew Carolyn was like at a 0. And I put like, so whenever we talk about the fantasy league, like we have like 10 points to put on each tribe based on who we think is going to go home. And I put almost all of mine on Josh. I was convinced because it's like, it's not even like, I mean, he had so many things going against him. Like he said he was at the top of his other tribe and like, obviously that's not the case. Like, and then he also like has been caught now in 2 huge blatant lies about his life and his game right now. So
the idol was embarrassing.
But I think that this is like, when the survivor gods close a door, they open a window, so like I feel like with him, he's actually going to be in one of the best spaces once we now get to Mergatory, because once you reshuffle the deck like that, everyone who is on the bottom is now considered an asset because people can utilize them and bring them to the top. You know?
I had until right now I had already forgotten about the idol thing because they're like, look at this. It's very clearly, is this from Tree Mail? Or no?
Jam said it's literally falling apart.
It's like, all right, cool. We're just gonna sit here and just like we have to hope that he. At a certain point, I'm like, I hope that these people actually do buy into it. Like, I hope he just continues to go with it. Just lie. It doesn't matter at this point. Just lie.
Right.
And then obviously, when they find out about the news, they hug, and it's the fakest hug that's ever happened. And I was planning on voting you anyway. It's like, oh, okay,
yeah,
whether it's true or not.
That actually was super cute though, because like he and Josh were like, "Oh yeah, you were going home." They were saying it to each other. I thought that was cute.
Yeah. If we want to work our way even more backwards to the summit, whatever we're doing, or whatever we call it, I know it changes every week.
I don't even know what to call it. Yeah, just like the cute little brunch time.
Cute little brunch time. So during cute little brunch time, what happened?
I'm gonna trademark it. Well, I don't know. Like I feel, like that was an awakening for Carolyn too. I think that it helped her kind of recognize those dynamics and where the trends are going with who could be the people that last longer. But I'm like thinking more about this because like Danny obviously named Josh, which I think put another target on Josh's back. But like I feel that like if it was going to be like a bros alliance or whatever, who else would be in that alliance now? Because the only other like pretty physically active person in my mind I was thinking was like Matthew, but like obviously that's not happening anymore.
I mean, they could just have a bros duo and just kind of, but they can't do that because Carolyn will tell people because obviously she would. One of the funny parts, that entire scene was hilarious. But one of the best parts of it is Carolyn just being blatantly named a goat, basically, and it's like, dude, this is he's one of my power players in our fantasy league, And I thought that was a very silly thing to say pre-merge, calling people goats and not goats. We're still in the that kind of
Right.
stuff does not exist yet. And even if
Exactly.
it does, she's in a great spot because if you're already calling me this now, no one's going to see me do no one's going to assume I'm going to pull something off
Right.
at the next
And
stage of the game.
like Raw or RHAP brought up like such an interesting point on their podcast too. That they were like, if you're to do a duo, like I mean, I think that the duos now you have to have different strategies in order to make it very close to the end. I think that Dom and Wendell kind of because they were relatively similar, but like just had different styles near the end.
Yeah.
But like whenever if you choose to have a duo, they have to be very opposite so people don't suspect things. I think the two things that are the same draw everyone's eye to those like similar attributes. So like, I feel like a Danny and a Brandon, two macho bro dudes, I feel like that wouldn't work. However, a Danny with a Heidi, you know, like where you don't see as similar attributes while like they do share some stuff, it's just a different situation, you know. So I'm interested to see like how that pans out and if they're going to be able to stay true to their word, you know.
And how did you like Carolyn during all of that?
Oh, she's the one, her and that orange, like
her facial expressions are. I'm trying to figure out someone that I can compare it to, as far as like every time she does something with her face, it's like yes,
she's just good
it.
TV. Yeah,
she
and
is.
what I love the most about her is like she's like the most rootable underdog, but also like she's underestimated, but she's also like amazing at Survivor. Like I think the org community really helps her out with that, you know. I think that she's literally in the perfect position to lead all of the underdogs once they get to merge. Don't you think?
I think there's potential there. She would definitely be, for the underdog, she'd be a shield for them because I do feel like people are going to look at her as not chaotic, but it's like because she has one of those personalities, people are always going to look at her as something, whether it's good or bad, which means if you have her in front of you, that's good because either people are going to want to target her or people are going to want to work with her. And if you're already working with her, you're in a very good spot. And if you're working with her and someone sees her as a threat, they'll get rid of her first before they come after you. And then the deck reshuffles again.
I just want her to win. Like I just really well now that my winner
gone, you have to jump ship.
Well, now that my winner pick is gone, I realize that like I have to find a new winner pick. But I've been rooting for her from the start. You know, my heart's been drawn to her from the start, and I would really I feel like she's going to go very far, but I would like to see her make it through to the end. You know,
I think that at a certain point, I think she could outstay Brandon. Brandon.
Yeah, she's going to outstay Brandon. I'm not worried about that.
I feel like she will outstay Brandon, which will be so funny. And here, if Carolyn sits at the end, it would be the ultimate poetic justice would be Brandon voting for her to win. Like that'll be a great little callback for and she might even like this is jumping weeks ahead.
Right.
But that would be a great little thing for her to say, like, oh yeah, Brandon called me a goat and now I'm here and I could win, blah blah
Absolutely.
blah.
And she needs to should have to make a move that's a lot more flashy to bring that to his attention too, though. I feel like Brandon gravitates more towards the big moves like as opposed to like the little ones, you know, like the building blocks that get you to the end. I'm still standing by my prediction though that I think that Brandon's ego is going to eventually end up getting in the way. Like you even saw that like with how he was trying to converse with poor Carolyn, you know?
Yeah, and as if Carolyn really wasn't there, and she kept trying to put herself in there. It's like, wow, after a while, it's like, okay, these guys are just they're gonna bro it up. Cool, whatever. I'm just gonna put it over here.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I'm interested to see how that's gonna go. Well, I know that we're kind of going like I don't think there's anything else like in terms of backtracking. Is there anything else we need to talk about like this specific episode?
I mean the challenge, but I mean the challenge was as intense as challenges can be.
Yeah.
It wasn't, anything that we haven't I think because I just did a rewatch of Winners at War, in my head, anytime there's slow motion, it's like, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, it happened. No way. No, the slow motion aspect of a challenge ending just doesn't really matter to me anymore.
No.
Not to say that I want them to stop, but it's fine. It's fine. Yes, I agree with that. I feel like Brandon, he's gonna get Roxroyd.
Yeah, I think so
and
too.
and it'll be fine because he's gonna either get separated from people that he's working with, or people are gonna see it as a big move. And I mean, we'll see what happens when the merge aspect of the game happens. But like, if he goes out there and potentially just dominates a challenge, people are going to immediately clock him as a physical threat, which
For sure.
who gives a shit, but whatever. And they might try to take him out at 10. Yes. So I do agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that too. So I know that we're gonna be getting to like Mergatory, like in this next episode. Are we both banking on the fact that there's gonna be like a double tribal coming up, or do you think it's only gonna be one this coming episode?
I mean, we don't want to go the 43 road where it's like, oh, every week, like, hey, jot it down, double tribal.
I know I can't say the
right?
double tribal. I'm too scared to call it. Like I was like, it's happening.
It's happening. Yeah, I say, okay, if I have to make a prediction, there'll be one double tribal, and it won't be this week.
I think it's gonna be like not. I am agreeing. I'm gonna cautiously say that I think that we're gonna make it the second, like the one after this week, which would be great. You know why, Andrew? You know why? Yeah. Because that's when the Pittsburgh one is the Pittsburgh show.
I was like, what
Yeah,
I know where we're going with this.
Because we're going to the Bryson Wen live show.
Yeah, I totally blanked there. I'm like, well, why? What's
we could see it in like live time with like in presence of all of these guests, including Mike Turner, Jonathan, Ozzy.
Oh boy!
I know. Are you coming or no?
We'll talk. We'll talk. But I am still enjoying the season. So I'm also very hoarse. We had a very long tournament yesterday, so I screamed a lot. I am still really enjoying this season. I know that it is getting a lot of backlash, and I think rightly so because of all the advantages and idols, and it's overkill at this point. Right. I understand that people love them some advantages or whatever, but like at this point, I think I think the count is like one or two people don't have anything fake or real, and everyone else has at least something that's fake or real.
Right. Yeah, I think so too.
Like it's pre-merge.
It's a lot. And then my other issue, but this isn't a specific 42 thing. It's just I think that a lot of people are on the same boat now. Like it's just so hard watching one tribe get decimated every single season whenever you do it in 3. But I don't know how to really fix that. I think that maybe like a swap might do it good, like a 3-2.
You don't have to do 3 tribes every season.
But I like there's things I like about the 3 because I like that no one can hide. I like that it really forces people to build connections very quickly, like, and they tend to last a lot longer and they tend to be a lot stronger. However, like again, like it always goes down to one tribe, and it's my beloved Tika. Like I'm so sick of watching them get voted out one by one,
Yeah. I think that at some point they're going to have to say, hey, you know what? Let's start listening to people again.
Right.
And the biggest complaint that I think is the most rational is all these advantages, real or not. People like there are enough people that are just like so tired of it. I would say secondary would be the 6-person OG tribes of 3, which the fact they brought back the swap, cool. But you can go back to 2. It's all right to have 2 tribes. It's all right to to have seasons where people do kind of hide.
Yeah. It's just harder to paint a narrative that way, like a narrative where anyone could win. But like,
is that the point though? Like anyone can win.
Well, I think it hides away from that narrative. Like it doesn't give you, because like with a lot of these stories that you have to paint I don't care what anyone says. There's always a winner's edit, like you have to paint a narrative from start to finish. Yeah, well, like you have to paint a narrative from start to finish, and it's so much harder to do that whenever some people have so much more room to hide than others. You know?
No, I agree. I think I'm just I try not to listen to online fans because most of the time they're wrong in my head. But I am starting to buy into, like, I not even buy in. I've always said I hate advantages, but I am glad that me and the online fans can kind of agree on something finally and say, yeah, it's stupid that there are this many advantages or fake advantages in the
Right.
game.
Right.
You know, it. Thankfully, it's not for me. It's not taken away from this season because I am just enjoying this season.
Me
But if this
too.
was on a shit season
Mhm.
and we had to just deal with idols all the time, obviously I would never stop watching the show because that's crazy.
No,
But
we're diehards.
I'd be more willing to, like, okay, I'll just wait until Tuesday of the next week. Like, I really don't need to. What
Mhm.
you know what it. So I'm glad that they got the cast. Like, this cast is pretty. I know I keep asking certain people's names, and that's because they're just not ingrained in my head yet. But I am enjoying this cast. I am enjoying some of the interactions between people. I am enjoying some of the storylines going into the fake mergatory. I'm enjoying some of the storylines that could potentially be told after mergatory is over.
Right.
And I'm just hoping that the momentum keeps up. But at a certain point, there will be there's going to be something crazy with all of these advantages or fake advantages, and I'm hoping that when that happens, it doesn't turn me off to how good I feel like the season is.
Right. I'm excited to see like how many of them actually play out. Like, we've already seen a few times that they people have just been taken out or voted out without being able to play it, you know? So like Sarah and obviously Matthew now, like, so we're already being cut like some of those opportunities. I'm
Sure.
excited to see how I think that they put so many to increase the chances of a shock value at one tribal, you know? Um it's gonna be good.
Think about some of our favorite tribals, though. I mean, yes, a lot of our favorite tribals deal with an idol, maybe two in crazier circumstances, but it's not like our favorite tribals. There's not like there haven't been really good tribals where there weren't
Right.
10,000 idols played. I would say that,
Right. I just like I love whenever someone plays a fake idol. Like that hasn't happened in a long time and I'm excited to see hopefully one of them working, you know?
yeah, just hopefully it's not someone that we like. But I mean, there is not really anyone that's. I wouldn't consider anyone a villain up to right now this season. I mean, that could change, especially with this bros thing, because I feel like people are not going to vibe with the bros. But
Right.
as of right
They're
now,
gonna
they're
get broken
relative.
up quick. They will. I think so.
But if they don't, that'd be a great villain story arc for the two of them.
True, true. But like I don't see a world where they won't be the target, especially with the current base that they have right now. You know, like thinking about like the background of all of the other castmates, like regardless if one person doesn't want immunity, the other one's gonna go home, you know? To
Uh,
answer that question, Jay, yeah, knowledge is power is coming back. Yeah. Jeff's already said that he loves it and
for sure.
he's gotten a lot of backlash for that. But he's waiting for it to be played right is kind of how he described it, you know? And like while it's been a curse, it's what other people make of it. I think the big mistake though has been the last 3 seasons, people freaking telling everyone they have it. You can't tell
Mhm.
anyone. And once someone learns that and activates that, then it's going to look completely different, you
Yeah.
know? At
Yeah.
least I think so.
Well, another way to fix it is, like, don't have so many advantages of the game that people feel the need because they get paranoid and they start sharing this stuff. But
Sure, sure.
I'm gonna hop off my soapbox. Um, Anything else before we start to wrap
No,
up?
I'm just like pretty devastated that Matthew's gone. Like I'm really sad because he was my winner pick. I had a really great feeling, and the last 3 seasons, I've had a consistent pattern of picking the person who is the runner up of Survivor. And I thought that maybe I had a chance this time, and I was wrong. But you know that's okay. You know it's all right. We can
I
kind
still
of
got Franny.
yeah.
Still got Franny.
We still got Fernie for a little time.
She's
Yeah.
she's she's bringing it home.
Yeah. Maybe. Um.
Um,
So we'll see. You know, that's all.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We will be back next week for. We will be back next week for this. We'll talk. thank you all for tuning in. And I think that might be it.
That's
I feel
all.
like there's
We did
something.
it. We wrapped it up real quick. Easy peasy.
All right. Well, then we'll see y'all on the other side.